Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live. Wait for some people to join us this morning. I'm happy to be here on a Monday morning, and this is a regular occurrence of Facebook Live where I go live every Monday at 11 o'clock to check in with folks and give some updates and answer questions. So it's nice to have people starting to join in. I see folks joining in the chat here, and or up to 10 people. So those 10 of you that joined us right away, it's nice to have you on Monday morning. Hope you all had a good weekend. Amy Young, good morning. I'm learning all the new codes people use. GM, good morning. Nice to see you, Amy. Laura Lopez Hudson, it's nice to see you. Oh, I miss you. I hope you're doing well. Distance learning is going well. You're awesome. Patty Calais. I don't know if I said your name right, but good morning, Patty. Nice to see you. And good morning from Naval Base Point Loma. Awesome. And then, oh, Cece, you're waving at me. I'm so happy to see you there. Cece is a parent from Central Elementary back from my principal days there. So glad you could join us. Georgette Smith, good morning. It's good to have you joining us this morning. Here we are live on Facebook. As we're getting started, folks are joining in. And I love this way that new ways that we build community. Carolyn, thank you, good morning. Oh, sorry, not Carolyn, Carlin, Filio, good morning. It's nice to have you join us. Linda, Michelle Garcia, Turtle, Myra Torres, I think I said your name right. That's your screen name. Nice for you to see. Nice to see you this morning, joining us here on Facebook Live. So it's good to have Amy, Alfonso, Molly. Good to see you again. Looks like people are slowly rolling in. I hope everyone had a good weekend. And I know communications team is there monitoring our Facebook as well. This Facebook Live. So just slowly having people join in. Keep the Facebook Live open here. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you. Looks like nice to see you, everyone. Howard, nice to see you too. And Brenda, yes, you wanted to know about hearing soon about graduation plans for seniors. Let me go ahead and start with some updates, and then I'm going to get to the questions as I see them rolling in. It's just so nice to see everybody joining this time that we have together. So just welcome everyone, our families, our students, our staff, all kinds of people. The staff is joining. I'm just happy that we get this chance to interact with one another. So today's Facebook Live, like all of the Facebook Lives, will last 30 minutes. And during this time, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible. Last week, I went through question by question, and I kept up with them. And then at the end, I didn't get to all of them. But I just want you to know that a lot of the questions that you're asking can be looked at on our FAQs page, which is www.sandiegodstancelearning.org, and the FAQs are on there, and we post always updating and posting new questions on the FAQs page, and any questions that I don't get to during this 30-minute period, at the end our communications team is monitoring and they'll go back and answer them. And any questions that seem to trend, a couple weeks ago a big trending question had to do with enrollment, lots of questions, so we updated the FAQs on enrollments as well. So when we hear big questions that are trending on here, of course I'll answer as many as I can live as they come in. We'll follow back up in the chat, and then we'll also post to our FAQs page on our SanDiegoDistanceLearning.org website. So I just want to start out this morning by recognizing our classified employees for all they do, for our students, for our families, for our entire school community. So every year, San Diego Unified honors our classified employees during the Classified School Employees Week, May 17th through the 23rd. So big shout out and thank you to all of our classified employees this week. This week we're recognizing our 2020 Classified Employee of the Year and Classified Employee of the Year runner-up, and we're doing it during a virtual celebration. So I know we all know more than ever our classified employees play such a crucial role in education. You all make a huge difference in our communities, It's through your dedication and huge, wide variety of all of the essential roles that you play in public education. And this year's honorees are no exception. So I want to announce, anyone got my drum roll? The 2020 Classified Employee of the Year is Andrea Eaton. She is a Maintenance Planning Senior Coordinator for Physical Plant and Operation, and I think we're going to post her picture in the chat in just a minute. But in addition to all of her regular duties that she does at work, Andrea accomplished something that is very near and dear to my heart, something that matters to me a lot, which is our employee well-being. Andrea began the wellness program for her coworkers 7 years ago. She was way ahead of the curve on all of this, and she started this in PPO and really set the pace and set the bar, and we're so grateful. Andrea, if you're watching, big shout out to you, and thank you for all you do. All the little hearts that are coming up when people are clicking hearts, those are all for you, Andrea. We really appreciate what you do. Your efforts, her efforts were recently recognized with a national award from Kaiser Permanente, and she's an active member of our District Wellness Council. She chairs our District Employee Wellness Subcommittee. We love our Wellness Council, and the Employee Wellness Subcommittee is so incredibly important. And I think our District Wellness Council and Wellness Coordinators, if you're all on here, shout out to all of you. I know you all work as a big team together, and employee well-being now more than ever is so important. And so I'm so happy to recognize our classified employee and to know that it's Andrea, that we're pulling together the wellness councils and the wellness leads all across the district are pulling together great resources for employee well-being. We have parent resources and student resources. I don't want you to think I'm forgetting about student and parent well-being, because that matters, but I'm focusing right now on classified employee appreciation, and to know Andrea and the wellness councils are putting together big time supports for how to manage working from home and the stresses that people are feeling right now. And through the supports of our wellness councils, they're getting together and teaming up with some really great ideas and tools and tips and tricks and pro tips of what people are doing to stay healthy, to stay well, to stay balanced during these times that are so difficult, and all the new routines that you need to make for yourself for well-being. I couldn't have chosen, if I chose myself, a better classified employee of the year in Andrea Eaton. So really grateful. And then I also want to say our runner-up for this year is another shout out to the 2020 Classified Employee of the Year runner-up. Shout out to Sylvia Hoffman. She's the administrative assistant at the MET, San Diego Metropolitan Regional Center, Regional Career and Technical High School. It's a long term for the MET. The Met is one of our wonderful schools. So happy for the work that they're doing there. We just had a student from the Met at our board meeting recently that spoke about her passion projects that she's working on. And Sylvia is a part of the glue that keeps that school together. So Sylvia, shout out to you too. We recognize what you do and how you're supporting our students, our families, and our communities all the time. And especially now, you are essential to the work that we do. So super happy to give a big shout out to all of you as Classified Employee of the Year runner-up and the winner. So not only do we recognize our outstanding employees in May, but it's also when we begin planning to recognize our outstanding students with our graduation ceremonies. And I think I've got some questions to catch up on with that. Let me see a few more words on that. Participating in those ceremonies, in our graduation ceremonies, has been a real honor for me as a superintendent in the past. And a lot of you have been asking, what is the status of graduation ceremonies? Since our schools closed to prevent the spread of COVID-19, what are we going to do? What's the status? And so there are alternatives to a June in-person graduation that we discussed at our most recent board meeting. And what we did is our board actually asked our students to get actively involved in this. So at our board meeting, we had Point Loma High School senior ASB president Isla Kamasa, fabulous student. She presented her findings to the board, and her findings were from a student committee that helped organize a survey for our seniors, because frankly, let's ask our students who are the most impacted. Let's ask their thoughts. And so that survey received over 2,600 responses to sort of show us the way forward. And I want to give a very heartfelt thank you and deep respect to Isla and the work that she did to lead this and to get us this input. And at the end, at that board meeting, the board did support the students' recommendation. And the recommendation was that individual schools should have the freedom to develop their own creative plans to mark that new June 9th graduation celebration date, but leave open the possibility for a formal commencement in July or August. Our schools are working to develop those plans, which all of those plans, the board was very clear, need to adhere to the public guidelines. They need to include student voice, and the plans need to make sure that whatever is being planned is accessible to all. So it's within that that our schools are creating the best possible scenario for what we can do for June 9th, with the possibility of July or August in-person graduations if the health guidelines warrant and permit us to do that. We don't know exactly what each of these graduation ceremonies will look like yet. Our schools are well into those planning stages right now. You'll be hearing from the schools, the students are involved, but we're certain, one thing I know for sure is that San Diego Unified will celebrate the class of 2020 and all that's been accomplished. And we will celebrate in the best ways that we know how within those guidelines that the board set out for us. So with that, I want to just give a few more updates and I'll start getting over to the questions. I wanted to share some news because since we last talked, the governor issued his May revise, which is the budget for the state of California. And I want you to know that San Diego Unified has reviewed the May revise. We're clear on what it says. These are very difficult budget times at the state level and all across the country. And I want you all to know that San Diego Unified has joined with some of the state's largest school districts to advocate for adequate funding. Collectively serving nearly 1 million students, we have sent a message to Sacramento, a clear warning to Sacramento that schools cannot continue to operate safely in the fall if there's a declining state budget for education. After providing more than 24 million meals, distributing more than 300,000 tech devices, training more than 40,000 educators for distance learning. Throughout this weekend, I've joined with the state's largest districts, and we issued a joint letter to the state lawmakers. And what we all said in one voice is we cannot, I want to say welcome to Dr. Mike, who just joined us. Hi, Dr. Mike, one of our board members. I want to send a clear message, though, in the letter that we issued this weekend or this morning with the big districts in the state, Long Beach, San Francisco, LA, and Oakland, and Sac City. We sent a clear letter in this joint statement to state lawmakers, and we said we cannot, in good conscience, risk the health and safety of our students and staff by returning to the classroom prematurely and without funding for the necessary precautions given the continued lack of national testing program and a lack of clear understanding of the impacts of coronavirus on young people. That's a quote from our letter that we've issued today with the largest districts in the state in this joint letter that we sent this morning to state lawmakers. So I just wanted to share that this morning to say, so that you know that we're fighting for us, we're fighting for our schools, and we're fighting for what the future is going to hold. So more on that to come, but I thought I should give you an update on what the May revise was and what it meant to us and what our next conversation is having to be framed around at the state level so that we can make sure that we have what we need to be able to open and open safely. And one more thing I want to mention before I look over at the Q&A, I want to just do a heartfelt thank you, and on a more somber note, I guess the budget's somber and this is somber as well, our long time baseball coach at Mission Bay High, Dennis Pugh, passed away on Friday. Coach Pugh was with our district for more than 25 years and even longer in the San Diego baseball community. He is beloved by so many generations of students and families and communities who know him and remember him. He had truly a profound impact on thousands of students and educators who were really fortunate enough to cross his path. So I want to say our thoughts are with Coach Pugh's family and the Mission Bay community, but his reach went far beyond just the Mission Bay community. And so from me to the community and to Coach Pugh's family a really heartfelt condolence, and our thoughts are with you, and we're thinking about you. And I know our students' lives have been impacted forever and forever changed by his work and his contributions. So thank you for giving me that moment to talk about him. I want to look over at some of the questions that we've received. I know I said a lot for the opening this morning as we were appreciating our classified employees and all of the work that they do. So I'm going to try to catch up to where we are on the comments. I think I have a lot to catch up on. Let's see here. Helen, thank you. It's good to see you, Helen. You said, good morning from Point Loma. Please, can you tell us who you're consulting with about plans for reopening? Helen, it's a great question. There are plans at the state level, at the federal level, and actually out of learning institutions across the country, looking at multiple sources and resources. So if you have some new ones to send to us or things that are meaningful to you, we're happy to take any input and look at those. Most important is we're looking at the health guidelines and understanding what those health guidelines are and learning lessons from across the world. 188 countries worldwide. From one of the recent reports that Dr. Terrace, who's our district pediatrician, shared with us, said that 188 countries worldwide shut down their school systems, and some of them are starting to open. So we want to look at what they're learning, those lessons learned, and then looking from some of the greatest minds and groups across the country. I participate in the Council of Great City Schools that are also all the large urban districts across the country that are looking at that as well. So more to come on that, but if you have great resources, share with us. We're happy to look at those. I'd like to see that. We have Chrissy Crystal. You said good morning, mother from SDGVA. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Tracy McCormick, you wanted to follow up regarding the grounds of the school. You said you're in Ocean Beach, Point Loma cluster, and the schools are looking run down. Look into this again. You should see that the schools, the landscapers are out there now. They are going on their regular circuits to make sure that the landscaping is done at the schools. In the very beginning of the pandemic, they were not out there right away. Now we have the right guidelines for them to be able to work and work safely. And so you should see that being cleared up. If there's a specific school, let me know, but I know that there's crews out today. They started a week and a half ago on the big, large fields, and now they're doing the regular school maintenance on landscaping. So Tracy will make sure to those should be taken care of within this week as our crews are working on their regular schedules to take care of that. Chrissy is sending out a thank you to all classified. Thank you. Grace, you asked if San Diego Unified has sent in any information for the pandemic EBT for the free and reduced lunches. We can add that, Grace, to our FAQs question. I'm not sure about that, but I'll make sure that we follow up for you on that. And then there's a whole bunch of congrats I'm passing on from Hi Kat and Christina and Jennifer, Amy Young, all these congratulations to Andrea Eaton. Let's see. Yes, I agree what Jessica Hughes is saying to Helen, that parents should have a voice in these discussions about what the reopening plans look like. Thank you. I think it was Helen that said that, or replying to Helen, and it was Jessica. We absolutely agree. We're working very closely with Mahogany, who is the head of our PTA, and making sure the focus groups do include our parents. We know our parents have a lot to say about this. We want to make sure that they're included in what we're doing. Lots more congratulations for Andrea as I'm scrolling through the question section here. Elizabeth Vallejo, you brought up a really good idea. You said, can we integrate distance learning when the new year starts? And lots of conversations from a previous question is, who are we consulting as we're looking at national models and what folks are doing to figure out what this could look like? A blended model is something that people have been talking about, that it's integrated, and that there are some families that will not feel comfortable coming back to school until there's a vaccine, and there's some families that will feel comfortable coming back sooner if there's social distancing. And our job and our charge is to serve all our families and to make sure that they have access to their education, knowing that access is changing based on the health guidelines and what that can actually look like. So nice thinking there, Elizabeth. I really appreciate that. Kate giving another shout out to Andrea, thanking you for all she does. Let's see. Yes, Kimbra Gonzalez, thank you for your comment. You said chance of ever having an interpreter or live captions on these updates. The disability exclusion is really hurtful. That is something that we can look into. I know that with these Facebook live chats, we have done other virtual meetings where we've had live interpreters or we interpret with closed captioning. So I'll ask my communications team to mark that comment and let's see what we can do for live captions, because it is possible and we have done it in other venues. We will see what we can do to make that possible for this setting. So thanks for bringing that up, Kimbra. I appreciate that comment. Let's see. Juan Jose Zamorano says, out on the field providing support to our lunch heroes at the food distribution sites. They're all ready to welcome our community and provide services with a warm smile. We are getting great feedback from our food distribution, lots of our classified employees there too. Thanks for shouting that out, Juan. You're absolutely right. Helen is giving a congratulations also to Andrea. Oh, she says move on. Sorry. Okay, Helen, she said we only have 22 minutes left and she wants me to move on. Moving on. Okay, Grace, what's going on with the budget cuts since our governor said the budget will fall short of education? We're looking at cutting upper employees to make pay for the budget shortfall. I just went over the budget and what the impacts are, and we have to continue our advocacy at the state level with the letter that we released this morning on that, so more to come on that. Kathy, thanks for joining. Dr. Mike, thanks for joining. I'm going to try to scroll a little bit faster so that I can make sure I'm getting everybody. Another question, and remember, any question that I didn't quite get, I'm going as quickly as I can here. Turn on captions. My communications team will follow up and we'll answer all of them. Let's see, Heidi, thank you for joining. You said San Diego County Office of Education, this is Heidi Draper. San Diego County Office released some planning templates for the fall. When will we hear about San Diego Unified's possibilities for the fall? Are alternative weekly schedules likely? How can community members and families help schools prepare for the fall? Can we sew masks? Can we build sneeze guards? Can we collect cleaning supplies? Heidi, you're asking all of the same questions we are all asking. Those are great questions. And our plans for opening are largely dependent on the health guidelines, and they're frankly dependent on what we're seeing and hearing from the state budget. As I said in my statement that I released this morning, that a cut to education makes it extremely difficult to make opening plans that has the proper social distancing guidelines that will be required to implement in our schools. And we need to make sure that we have, with that social distancing, the proper also IT support, and any type of blended model that's going to go on for an extended period of time has to be properly funded. So all of that is important in terms of the proper equipment. Do we need temperature checks? Do we need masks? Do we need sneeze guards? Those are things that guidance from the California Department of Education in conjunction with the health, local, state, and health authorities are all things that we need to consider as we build our plan for reopening, and we have to stay within the guidelines as we know them. And as you know, those guidelines change and they change quickly, but we're staying connected to all of those. So nice, thank you for that question. Those are all really important ideas. And yes, Jessica, you explained that you cannot use budget cuts as an excuse to not open schools this fall. I absolutely understand that we need our schools open and how important it is for kids to be able to learn, and distance learning across the country is up and running, and we have to continue to figure out how we're going to have the funds that we need to follow the health guidelines. So all of those things are really important, and it's important that we are making sure we've put together a plan and a blended program that will work, that we can get our keep making sure that our kids are learning. Let's see, continuing more questions. Someone's saying about a split screen. I'm not sure about that. There's a picture. Hi, Taylor Jean. Thank you for joining us. Macy Castillo, you wanted to know if we can have the option to rotate children, so half go in the morning and half in the evening. Some of the scenarios that I'm hearing about, not just in San Diego, but as I collaborate with my colleagues across the country, a split schedule, a staggered schedule, an alternate day schedule, a blended of some distance, some in person. And the reason why we're talking about those kinds of scenarios of split schedules or blended schedules is because we can't have large groups of people together. So think about the buses. how many kids are we allowed to put on the bus, think about the numbers of kids allowed in the classroom, think about the number of kids allowed in the cafeteria when we're serving. So we're looking at mass gatherings, knowing that many mass gatherings, I mean, in San Diego, Comic-Con and Padres and lots of different things where there's large groups of people that are gathered together are still on hold. And so while those are bigger than some of our gatherings, we're still talking about large gatherings and groups of people. So we need to think about that and make sure that we've put together the right guidelines to open in multiple scenario building that we'll be doing. So it's very important to us that we are able to open. We know how important this is for our families and for our community, and that this matters to people. On June 16th, we've scheduled a board workshop for discussion about this. And as we're building our plans and what our possible scenarios are going to be and what this blended model could look like for an opening in August, which is when our schools typically open, we want to be able to have that ready to go for discussion at a June 16th board meeting. So all of the feedback and input that you share, even in these chats, are helpful to us because there's lots of different ways that we're able to get our input through all of our different venues that we're using, including this being one of them. So share your ideas, share them here, share them with your principal, get them to us so that we can hear what people are thinking, because this is all of us doing this together. So appreciate that. Ari is talking about getting a Zoom interpreter. That's a great idea, Ari. Thank you for that. Tracy McCormick says Ocean Beach Elementary. I think you're responding to the landscaping maybe at Ocean Beach, so we'll make sure to take a look at that today. Jessica is still asking if we've considered making physical present in classrooms optional this fall. She said that will allow for fewer students in the classrooms and will allow for high-risk families to learn from home. And can classes be live streamed for distance learning this fall? You're anxious to get your child back in the classroom, but you're sensitive to other needs. And Jessica, absolutely. There's a whole spectrum of people, of some that won't go until there's a vaccine, and some are ready to put a mask on and let's go tomorrow. So that whole spectrum of where we have medically fragile students, thousands of students with asthma, the medically fragile adults, frankly, adults in the age group that would be vulnerable. So we're planning for multiple scenarios. That's why I say a blended model. We have to plan for all of the eventualities of where people are on this continuum of feeling safe or being cleared to be able to have in-person learning, and those that can't, we want to have a supportive learning environment for them, for those that want to, choose to, or have to stay home longer. So all of that is part of our planning scenarios, and appreciate you bringing that up here today. Let's see. Scott Lewis, hi Scott, you joined us at the statement you read from the letter. Were you saying schools can't open in the fall if the state follows through on proposed cuts? What we're looking at is what does open actually mean? So distance learning, we are open right now with distance learning. You're talking about physical learning, whether we can be open, and we're looking at what those blended models could look like. And so what does a blended model look like, and how are we going to make sure that we're able to do something with the dollars that we're given? We've always had scenario planning of having budget cuts and being able to figure out how to open, and we have to make multiple scenario plans. Do we need to stay in distance learning a little bit longer, depending on what the funding will look like? Will there be additional funds so that we can plan more robust models? My goal is to plan the very best blended model possible that would meet all of the needs of the various students that have physical and health needs and our employees. But can we have some in-person learning get up and running with the dollars that we're given? That is what we have to design for and plan for, and that's what we're working towards for our June workshop, June board workshop. Karen says parent involvement, not just lip service. Karen, I would wonder if you're involved with your school and with your principal, and what school are you involved in? I certainly don't want it to be lip service. I would love for you to be able to be involved and give your input and give your feedback to your school and those of us that are working on this. You want resources. Patringa Murphy wants to know if we can add resources and information for military families on the district's main COVID resource page for incoming new to district military families. Yes, we can definitely do that. Appreciate that. Karen says kids need socialization. We need to get them back. Hi, Sabrina. You said happy Monday. Kathy, you wanted to know how it will affect The budget will affect TK4 next year. The governor's original proposal does impact early learning, but this is a proposal that's his May revise. The final budget adoption is in June, so we're going to continue to advocate, and we don't yet know how that will impact. So more to come on that as we're working on that. So I see I have more questions, and I'm starting to run out of time. So I will tell you that any question that I don't get to, we'll go back and answer, and anything that's trending or that we didn't get to, we'll be able to answer again, either in the chat here after. Let me go back to where I have that. At the end of the chat, we'll make sure that we are able to answer any questions that we may have missed. And by the way, anything towards the end, next Monday is a holiday, so we won't be together on Monday, but we'll put in the chat room, we're going to get together on Thursday instead, Thursday evening, for a special presentation. So anyway, any questions I didn't get to after up to the 30-minute, we'll close it and we'll go back to answer anything. And this one went really quickly. I think we have record participation, over 200 people were viewing, and so grateful and happy to see all of you. Any feedback that you have for any of the schools, and all of the shout outs that people gave last week to teachers and school principals and folks that were helping them, we pass those on to the schools. So we do appreciate when you let us know when we're getting it right and you ask us the questions that we need to answer. So thanks everybody for joining us on Facebook Live. It's great to have you here with us, and everybody please be well. Thank you.